It's safe to say that Carrick has done a pretty amazing job so far. 13 points from 15, with wins over Arsenal and City. It's stuff that we could only dream of. Our defensive block has been a lot more solid. The West Ham game aside, our attack has been a lot more fluid. But there's one area where United haven't quite been up to scratch, and that's in our pressing. Teams we've played under Carrick have found the spare man in central areas a little bit too often for my liking. And in today's video, I want to take a look at what's causing it and how Carrick now can go about fixing it. So as always, guys, drop a like if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new around here, and let's get into it.
Go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
Now against City and Arsenal, United pressed at times, mainly from situations like goal kicks, but largely United were happy sitting back in that low block and obviously counted in from there, which in those games is fair enough. But when United did try and press, it was pretty good. United here locking off one side of Mbeumo, City playing the ball out wide, and United in their 4-4-2 shape can shuffle across, and Ahmad can get pressure on the left-hand side, force City into a mistake. We didn't take many risks in the pressing, and once City sort of found out what we were doing, we're able to bypass that press a little bit easier. United was still happy just sitting more in that low block, and it was the same up against Arsenal as well. But then up against Fulham, there was more of an emphasis on United really taking the game to them, obviously playing at Old Trafford, but again, Fulham were able to access those central areas just a little bit too easily at times. And against Fulham, it was their free in midfield that did really cause havoc for United all game long, and it almost came back to bite us in the end if it wasn't for that Seshko winner. You can see Iwobi here when he picks the ball up. United have decent pressure on the ball, but if you keep an eye on Shaw and Cunha on that left-hand side, they're currently marking, I think it's Harry Wilson on that side, but you can see the fullback is there in a little bit of space towards the touchline. And as Fulham then retreat a little bit, the ball goes back to the centre-back. United don't quite have enough pressure on him. Cunha is still in field marking that winger, and Luke Shaw is doing the same thing as well. So it ends up in that fullback able to pick up that ball, getting on United's back line. Luke Shaw and Cunha not good enough at communicating who's picking up who, so they end up picking up the one man, and then the Fulham fullback is free on that one side there. But again, up against Fulham, they were able just to overload us in those central areas, and I've highlighted Mino having both Iwobi and Sanderberger to mark in this instance, Bruno Fernandes as well. So United in that 4-4-2 pressing shape. Casemiro is occupied by Smith Rowe, so it just leaves Mino isolated, with Mbeumo obviously looking after the right-sided centre-back as well. Fernandes has that job of trying to obviously lock off that one side, but the Fulham goalkeeper's able to access the middle of the pitch, gets it out to Sanderberger, who can play that pass then to the free centre-back. Again now with Iwobi pushing up a little bit, he's occupying Mino. You've got Smith Rowe occupying Casemiro, so then that leaves Sanderberg free then. So he can pick up that ball in an absolute acre of space in between United's midfield and the front two, and then he plays it out wide then, can again access that Fulham right-hand side, and then you're just playing on United's back line once again. Then against Spurs, before the Romero red, they were able to access the gaps in United's midfield to get usually Xavi Simons on the ball and get Spurs playing further forward as well. In this instance, this time around, Carrick has swapped it, so he's putting Mbeumo out on the left, Cunha up front. Makes sense, obviously, and Mbeumo is going to do a little bit more of the leg work on that left-hand side. But in this instance, Cunha is trying to lock off that right-hand side, but Xavi Simons now has dropped into that little bit of space. Casemiro does almost intercept this ball, but it ends up going into Xavi Simons. Dalot is there on him trying to press, but he's not there quick enough. Xavi Simons can find that space centre-back in Van de Ven. As Cunha is taken out of the game a little bit, Van de Ven then has that acre of space to bring that ball forward. Casemiro trying to do the role of, he doesn't know whether to go out to the centre-back, doesn't know whether to stick on Xavi Simons. Dalot wants to go back into his usual right-back spot. So then Xavi Simons is able to get that ball from Van de Ven, and then he can play the ball then, again, out wide for Tottenham, again, playing on United's last line of defence. And again, in this instance, you've got Mino and Casemiro trying to lock on to the Spurs midfield, obviously trying to push up a little bit. But again, it's Xavi Simons finding that space in behind them. Not quite enough pressure on the ball from United, so Romero can play that ball further forward into Simons. One simple pass. Martinez trying to press a little bit, but is not quite close enough to him. Obviously, Carrick wants to keep that +1 in the back line. So Martinez and Maguire are not really instructed a lot of the time to really go and press into that midfield area. But it just means that Simons can pick that ball up. He can turn, face United's back line, and again, get Spurs playing further forward. Lastly, against West Ham. This was a game where United had the majority of the ball. It was West Ham's turn this time around to sit a little bit deeper, and they were letting United, particularly the centre-backs, have the ball. But then when United had the opportunity to press, they didn't quite do it effectively enough. You're not creating any real dangerous opportunities from that press. West Ham could find that free man a little bit too easily, as United, again, just got a little bit too disorganised. Again, just a little bit too easily. West Ham here, as the ball goes out to the left side of centre-back. United try and obviously do the same thing, lock off that one side of the pitch. But Ahmad is caught a little bit further upfield this time. He's sort of pressing in that front too. So then it's Cunha this time around then is tasked to being on that right-hand side in this instance. United sort of rotating the positions. Cunha not quite quick enough to close that player down. Fernandes here, I've highlighted him. He goes into that little bit of space in behind Kobe Mino as Casemiro again is occupied by Souček higher up the pitch. So Fernandes can ghost into that little bit of space as West Ham play that little bit of a 1-2. The fullback, Juve, able to play that ball into Fernandes, and again then he can play that ball out wide. They've evaded that United press. Fernandes again, I've highlighted him once again. United this time around in more of a sort of mid-block, but United trying to put pressure on the ball. But as I run it on, Fernandes is still in that space. Juve gets that ball. I don't know why he doesn't play Fernandes in this instance in an absolute acre of space, but he ends up going back to the goalkeeper. But the goalkeeper doesn't make the same mistake. First time pass into Fernandes, and again he's still in that absolute acre of space in United's midfield, as we still haven't got that organisation quite right. As we get caught in between some people trying to press, some people sat really deep in that block. Obviously United just far too passive in this instance. And then Fernandes can play the ball into Bowen, and then Bowen can play the ball out wide to Somerville, and he's got a very dangerous one-on-one up against Dalot then, attacking United's box. And even the West Ham goal, obviously, it comes just from a simple throw-in and a simple long ball forward. But I've highlighted Souček here, because he's on his own, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Obviously, yes, Luke Shaw doesn't cover himself in a lot of glory. He should obviously sort that situation out, but he doesn't. But you're questioning why United's free there. Why are they marking simply just two West Ham players? So why is Souček just left in that acre of space by himself behind those three United players? Doesn't make a lot of sense. Because as you run it on, Souček there is still in an acre of space. So United left scrambling. Obviously West Ham do end up getting the goal in this one. So it's the simple sort of issues with United just not organising themselves well enough in the middle of that pitch. Yes, obviously there were certain mistakes from certain players in this instance as well. But overall, the organisation, not good enough. And Carrick and his team so far have been an absolute breath of fresh air. But in this video, I just wanted to highlight that it's not been perfect. To the people saying that I was harsh on Amorim at the time, I'm going to do exactly the same to Carrick. Going to give him the same treatment. If I see something that I don't like, I'm going to point it out in one of these videos. And with United's pressing right now, it does just seem a little bit overcautious by Carrick. It's understandable. He's coming in at United and you don't want to obviously get caught out. He wants to keep the +1 in the back line whenever United are pressing. And for me, it is understandable, but it obviously comes with its risks as well. You're obviously going to let teams attack your box a little bit more often than you'd like. And you're relying on obviously that good shape in defence then, which we've had so far. But then other times then, it's a little bit of lack of communication between certain players. Certain players obviously are not naturally great pressers in this United team either. Particularly you're looking at Cunha. There's a reason why Carrick moved him from the left to move him to playing up front. Obviously simplifies his role a little bit. Means he has to do a little bit less running in order to help United defensively. But then you're looking at obviously Fernandes and Cunha playing in that front too. Fernandes naturally wants to go chasing the ball all of the time. Cunha a little bit passive sometimes. So you've got obviously issues in the squad building and the certain personalities in this squad that Carrick has to work around as well in that press. So he's got a big job on his hands. I'm not saying any different. But there's a reason now when I'm looking at it. You're looking at certain games coming up. We've got Everton next up on Monday night. And that's a game where United would expect to go and take the game to them a little bit more. Yes, we are away from home. be expecting United to force them into that low block like we did up against West Ham. But can we pin them into their own half a little bit more? Can we create some dangerous sequences from the press as well? Not let them out as easily as we did to West Ham at times. And that's just what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for some simple improvements first off in the next few weeks. I'm expecting, obviously, with a lot of time on the training ground, Carrick to be doing something to obviously nullify the opposition finding those central areas. And that's what I'm going to keep an eye out now in the next few weeks. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video, drop it a like, subscribe if you're new around here. I'll catch you in the next one.